talking to those who are talking to those who are poor, and that stands for people overcoming obstacles resiliently. We're going to not make that a bad word anymore. In 2025, we're going to take away um, take that word and empower that word. We're not going to allow it to continue to rob us of joy, and causing us to focus on what others have that we don't have. Okay, so we're going to take this time to learn about how we can do some things differently. Um, Definitely, this administration is also probably trying to make everybody poor. So it won't be a bad word too much longer, since everybody will be poor, based upon how he is moving. So we're going to, today, we're going to talk about the fact that this did not start with him and it won't end with him either. Both he and Elon Musk are part of a larger issue. That probably started back when we elected Reagan, and during that was probably the beginning of when we began to start moving as a society in two different directions, one for rich and one for poor. So in essence, we're continuing to move towards a society that is only consisting of rich and poor people. Um, and that is not being talked about in the news, and things like that. And so, just want to talk about that for a little bit while I get my brain here together. But um, what's happening is that for a long period of time, like I said, since Reagan, we've probably been moving in the direction of a two-tier society: one for rich and one for poor, one for those in positions of power and one for those not in positions of power. Okay, they're just not saying that, but we've been moving in that direction for quite some time. I have spent the last 15 years working in the industry of property. And so I've been able to see it much more clearly, because I see it every single day working with the people that I work with, trying to help them uh, move in a different direction. And I see all the hurdles and the issues that are out there, that go unnoticed every single day. Um, but we're going to change that now. Anyway, moving forward, um, this, like I said, this did not start with Trump and Elon. This probably more than likely started with Reagan, and even then, they were using racial tropes to separate people. So race is not something they actually plan to solve for. They actually keep using it to then um, get white people distracted, and thinking that they are losing something. And so, in essence, instead of actually fixing the true problem, they put race on it. So then that becomes a distraction. So race is actually being weaponized now. It is not actually the problem. I mean, it's actually not being solved. Like the things that it's a mask on the larger issues. So if we solve for poverty, we probably would not even notice race as an issue. Okay, so do know that they technically never plan to solve for race. So it is better for you to actually focus on the things you can control, which is your financial situation. And because I've worked in the industry for 15 years, I now know that that is an identity. We don't talk about it enough, but economic status is an identity. Okay. Power is an identity as well. Okay. So knowing those two identities, um, in every situation that when you're interacting with someone, understanding who's in the position of power in that particular relationship, and then that will dictate how you move. So if you are in a situation where you're not in the position of power in that relationship, like say for example, if you were interviewing for a job, of course you're going to not be in the position of power because you're going to be the employee as opposed to the employer. So the employer is the person in the position of power. So you, as you're listening in the interview, you're listening for their pain points, how you can improve their pain points. So that's how you're going to help them achieve their goals. You're listening for that. You're also listening to see if you can get along with the person that's going to be your boss, those kinds of things. So everything is anytime you're interacting with another person, a relationship is being formed. It is not a romantic relationship, but anytime two people come together, a relationship is being formed. It does not always have to be romantic, but those are things that you want to pay attention to. And so when, for example, you're not in the position of power, you want to listen to what the person in position of power is saying. And oftentimes you're listening for what they're not saying out loud. Okay. Trump did a very good job of not saying the important stuff out loud, which then has put us in this position because we didn't pay attention to what he was not saying out loud. And so those are little things that I've learned now that I have been in the positions that I've held, from various positions such as working with Snap and TANF and managing that. I began to actually start noticing those things. And so now I can hear mindset in people's voices. I mean, in what people say and how they conduct themselves. I can attest people's mindset and how they approach life and things like that. So those are things that I've learned over time, is that you got to pay attention to especially when you're not in the position of power, you must always listen with the ability to hear both what they're saying to you and then what they're not saying to you. Okay, because there's always something. People in positions of power always have something that they're not saying, and that's the most important piece of information. But that's not all that I intended to say in this video, but I just wanted to drop that knowledge. But going back to this, with Reagan and Reaganomics, for example, trickle-down economics, that was the beginning of tax cuts for the rich. They were able to, oftentimes what happened, it was presented as if you give to the people at the top of the corporation, then they will trickle it down to the folks at the bottom. And the people at the bottom often are not going to get anything. Okay. Just the whole notion of the word trickle should have been the clue right there. It's like we knew even then and during Reagan time that we were not going to get wet. We was not going to get drenched. We tried to stop it, of course, but we did not have the votes enough to stop individuals from being able to not pass that legislation. And oftentimes what happens is that let me back up. Okay, the difference between now and Reagan is that we have the internet. During Reagan's time, we did not have the internet. And so therefore, dissenting voices could not be elevated as loud as they are now. Today, you can hear the dissenting voices. Social media can amplify other voices. So you can hear both sides and things like that and adequately pick whether, whether you believe them or not. And leadership also did not have the ability to be corrected, or you could not double check leadership, in that you had to go to the library or you had to know an economist in order to know that this wasn't going to work. And today, just this device that I'm talking to you on, you have the ability to double check leadership, and you should. We are now about to enter, or we actually have entered AI now, artificial intelligence. So in a matter of a couple of years from now, I mean, actually, probably even by the end of this year, we actually will not know what's real and not real, because the devices are so good that they can fake people's opinions. They can make you believe that you know everybody, basically everybody can sell anything. Meaning, for example, I was looking at now an AI website builder, and when I plugged in what I wanted it to say, it also plugged in comments from people, and I haven't even sold anything. So nothing is to be believed without any evidence. Today, you must take things and then always evaluate. Never take something without any evidence of fact now. That has to be your rule moving forward. Everything must be double and triple checked. Okay, how long will you be in here, Kayla?
Are you online?
No, I'm trying to make a video.
Oh, so you can edit that out?
I hope